government to continue protecting interests of 85% of the people. Dividend tax reduced to 2% after consideration. Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for choosing Malaysia Tonight with me, Renee Fong. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the government will continue to protect the interests of 85% of the Malaysian population amid the implementation of targeted subsidies for RON 95 petrol, which is slated to take effect in mid-next year. Datuk Seri Anwar added that only the T15 group and foreign nationals will have to pay the non-subsidised market price for the fuel, a measure he considers reasonable.
Tapi yang penting di sini diketahui ialah bahawa subsidi tidak membebankan 85% rakyat. Jadi sepatutnya kita janganlah jadi jaguh T15 seperti yang disuarakan banyak dalam ucapan-ucapan pembangkang. Wajar kita kenakan bayaran semasa ikut pasaran kepada golongan mahakaya dan golongan teratas. Itu pun tak boleh.
On a separate note, Datuk Seri Anwar reminded all parties to be careful in expressing their views and to base them on facts. He cited an example from Nik Muhammad Zawawi, who raised governance issues after alleging that Bukit Gantang Member of Parliament Datuk Syed Abu Hussein Hafiz Syed Abdul, who previously declared support for the Prime Minister, applied for a tender to supply food to the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM through a company, which allegedly conflicted with the SAHIH application.
Sebab itu kadang-kadang dalam pandangan kita, kita harus teliti. Jangan hanya melontarkan secara sembrono tanpa fakta. Misal seperti mana saya dengar ucapan Pasir Putih sebelum ini. Bahawa Menteri Keuangan tak ikut tata kelola dalam pengagihan kontrak kepada Disaji dan kepada Bukit Gantang. Tak benar sama sekali. Saya yang sign, saya tahu. Ini dengar dari mana? Daripada TikTok. Ini belajar mana ni? TikTok. Seorang belah WhatsApp.
Datuk Seri Anwar emphasised that the government's plans to amend the Land Acquisition Act 1960, Act 486, to ensure that national assets and public interests are protected following the land acquisition issues concerning the 106.54 hectares of land in Jalan Duta. The bill to amend the Act is currently being prepared by the Attorney General's chambers before being finalised by the Cabinet and tabled in Parliament.
Oleh demikian, kerajaan memutuskan untuk terus menggunakan ataupun exhaust jalur undang-undang. Selain dari itu, kita sedang meneliti langkah untuk meminda undang-undang supaya kita pertahankan hak negara dan hak dan kepentingan awam. Dan dia tentunya tidak boleh bercanggah artikel 13 dan perlembagaan, ya. Sementara menghormati hak milik perseorangan.
Currently, the Federal Territory Mosque, a hockey stadium, the Tun Razak Tennis Centre and other government buildings have been built in the affected land area. On 23rd October, it was reported that the High Court ruled that the disputed land known as the Duta Enclave should be returned to Semantan Estate after declaring the government's 1956 acquisition of the land invalid. The number of electric vehicle EV charging stations in the country will be doubled to 4,000 next year. And according to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof, the initiative is meant to support the government's plan to use EVs as official cars for ASEAN programs. He said more than 2,000 existing EV charging stations, mainly concentrated in urban centres, are adequate to support the use of EVs as official vehicles for next year's ASEAN meetings, which will be held in cities. He added that one approach to sustainability is focusing on the energy sector, including EVs. As such, he said the Cabinet has decided that Malaysia, as the ASEAN chair next year, will use EVs as official cars to transport heads of state and officials attending ASEAN meetings.
Perancangan kita sekarang memang kita nak menggerakkan lebih banyak EV cars dan sebab itu salah satu charging station target kita by 2030 10,000 charging station seluruh negara.
The Deputy Prime Minister also said that one way to speed up the installation of charging stations is to involve not only Tenaga Nasional Berhad but also the private sector. He added that efforts to increase EV usage must balance electricity supply security, safety and affordability. Express bus operators are encouraged to apply for an increase in the diesel subsidy quota from 6,000 litres to 10,000 litres per month to help alleviate their burden of operational costs. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said that the increase in the subsidy quota aligns with the average monthly diesel consumption required by each bus.
Sebagai kerajaan yang prihatin, pada hemat saya, kepentingan awam bukan hanya untuk kepentingan pengusaha bas ekspres ini, terutama ahli-ahli pembawa. Kepentingan awam harus diutamakan kerana kita melayani, menyantuni kira-kira 50 juta penumpang setiap tahun. Apakah pilihan yang ada? Jika kota untuk minyak tidak ditambah, tentu permohonannya adalah menaikkan harga tambang. Jadi adalah munasabah, walaupun saya salah seorang anggota Jemaah Menteri, tapi saya merasakan bahawa adalah munasabah untuk permohonan ini diberikan pertimbangan, terutamanya oleh Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri.
The Deputy Premier said that the request for the increase in the diesel quota is reasonable, considering the public interest, as express buses are one of the important transportation options for the people. Last July, Minister of Transport Anthony Loke told Dewan Rakyat that the diesel subsidy quota of RM1.88 per litre for express buses was increased to 6,000 litres per month from 2,880 litres previously. He said that this increase would help express bus operators manage costs, particularly related to fuel and operations. Kuala Lumpur City Hall has been urged to consider the proposed development of a common utility tunnel or CUT system to improve the efficiency of underground utility maintenance. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Federal Territories, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, said that the system, which had been used in Putrajaya, will provide protection to utility infrastructures from construction damage while also allowing safe access for maintenance.
Jadi sistem ini juga boleh diintegrasikan dengan pusat kawalan bandar menggunakan teknologi telemetri bagi pemantauan keselamatan. Dengan pakai teknologi ini, DBKL sudah pasti dapat meningkatkan kecekapan dan juga keselamatan dalam penyelenggaraan utiliti bawah tanah secara terancang dan juga menyeluruh.
Currently, DBKL's role is limited to indirectly regulating underground utility works, including issuing dredging permits and ensuring safety standards are met. This is because the responsibility for upgrading and maintaining utilities like sewerage and water supply lies with their respective asset-owning companies. The government has allocated 83.76 million ringgit to implement stage bus program in Malacca. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the funds are provided to a private operator on a 5-year contract to ensure continuous service for the public. He said 51 buses will operate daily across various routes covering 4 local authority areas. The 5-year contract provides certainty for the operator to ensure uninterrupted and efficient service for the people.
Jadi kerajaan memperuntukkan sejumlah wang untuk kita bayar perkhidmatan itu. Apa saja yang kita kutip itu dapat mengurangkan kos, tetapi sudah tentu dia tak dapat mengutip keseluruhan kos kita. Jadi ini dikira subsidi kepada rakyat. Ya. Subsidi kepada rakyat supaya perkhidmatan bas berhenti-henti ini dapat dijalankan.
He was speaking to reporters after the launch of the Bus.My Malacca Stage Bus Transformation Program, officiated by Chief Minister Datuk Sri Abdul Rauf Yusof in Kampung Moten today. The Bus.My Malacca program offers a 50 ringgit unlimited travel pass to Malaysian citizens, valid for 30 days. Free fares are also available for persons with disabilities, senior citizens and school students through the Bus.My concession pass. The East Coast Rail Link ECRL project has reached a significant milestone with the successful tunnelling breakthrough of the 959-metre Gombak Tunnel, completed 1 month ahead of schedule. The accomplishment comes after approximately 5.8 million man-hours of work and the use of the drill and blast method, a technique employed to tackle the challenges of boring through weathered granite.
In future, in Selangor, that we have the what we call it Jajaran Rail Selangor, and we in our plan that we expect 2 stations at least, one in Kuala Selangor and maybe one in Klang, that can be connected to the current the alignment by ECRL, and it will connect the whole alignment of rail alignment in Selangor and in the Klang Valley. Maybe after 2026 or 2027.
Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Syari was met after officiating the ECRL Gombak Tunnel breakthrough ceremony at the tunnel's exit portal today. Excavation work began in June last year, with a breakthrough initially scheduled for the 4th quarter of this year. The civil works are expected to conclude by March next year. Business segment, Malaysia will not exploit international trade conflicts. Stay tuned. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim highlighted household debt increased from 1.53 trillion ringgit at the end of 2023 to 1.57 trillion ringgit in June. This increase corresponds to 83.8% of the gross domestic product GDP, compared to 84.2% last year. In a written response in the Dewan Rakyat, the Prime Minister stated that the largest portion of household debt consists of housing loans. These loans make up 61% of total household debt, followed by vehicle loans, personal financing, and loans for other purposes, such as purchasing non-residential properties, credit card debt, and securities. He added that the government is making continuous efforts to control household debt and strengthen household resilience, including implementing the responsible financing policy document since 2012. The government has decided to reduce the dividend tax to 2% from 5% after considering the views and appeals from micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs. Datuk Sri Anwar said he took note of the concern voiced by MSMEs on the dividend tax, which he announced during the tabling of the 2025 budget.
Memang ada rayuan dari PMKS untuk mengecualikan mereka atas alasan berbeza dengan syarikat tersenarai. Mereka kadang-kadang mengambil upah atau gaji yang relatif kecil dan disimpan untuk melabur dalam syarikat mereka. Jadi ada hujahnya. Sebab itulah kita ambil keputusan, mulanya difikirkan 5%, diturunkan 2%, mengambil kira rayuan yang telah dikemukakan. Dan kita fikir untuk setahun bagi yang punyai milikkan saham 2 juta, sekitar 700-800 ringgit itu tidaklah membebankan.
Meanwhile, he added while the government was ready to consider proposals on the implementation of the tax, the administration would not allow for exemptions. When tabling the 2025 budget on 18th October, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who is also the finance minister, announced the government planned to gradually expand the tax base by introducing a 2% tax on dividend income exceeding 100,000 ringgit for individual shareholders beginning in the 2025 assessment year. Khazanah Nasional Berhad has appointed Jelawang Capital Sdn Berhad as the National Fund of Funds to boost Malaysia's venture capital ecosystem. In a statement, Managing Director Dato' Amirul Faisal Wan Zahir emphasised Jelawang Capital's role in fostering growth within the ecosystem. Led by Chief Executive Officer Brian Lim, who is also the head of Dana Impact, Jelawang Capital will implement 2 initiatives, the Emerging Fund Managers Program EMP and the Regional Managers Initiative RMI. The EMP focuses on nurturing Malaysian VC fund managers in raising their first to third funds, acting as an anchor for local general partners to attract additional investments. Open to Malaysian general partners, GPS, based in Malaysia or abroad, the EMP seeks to support Malaysian fund managers to establish their track record and increase their competitiveness in the venture capital ecosystem. Simultaneously, the RMI seeks to enhance Malaysia's startup scene through partnerships with regional VC firms, aiming to draw international fund managers to support local startups in growing regionally and globally, while facilitating the establishment of global companies in Malaysia. Jelawang Capital also invites established venture generators to discover and support new and existing entrepreneurs in the country. Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz has emphasised Malaysia's clear stance of not exploiting international trade conflicts. He said Malaysia has always adhered to the policy of non-alignment with any major economic power in handling international issues, including the trade war involving the United States, China and Russia.
Kita berperdian jelas tidak akan mengambil kesempatan terhadap konflik perang perdagangan, tetapi terus berusaha untuk memainkan peranan yang lebih penting dalam mengukuhkan rantaian bekalan global, terutamanya dalam sektor yang penting yang seperti disebut oleh Yang Berhormat Gombak tadi, sektor semikonduktor dan juga sektor-sektor lain yang strategik, dan kita akan terus mengukuhkan hubungan diplomatik dengan perdagangan yang positif dengan semua rakan dagang, yang termasuklah Amerika Syarikat, China.
The minister further noted that Malaysia, as an open trading nation, always believes in the open economy approach and having friendly policies, and the government is determined to be pragmatic and foster a conducive trade and investment climate. On another note, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul also expressed hope that the country's recent recognition as a BRICS partner will contribute to economic growth and export expansion over the long term. More exciting developments are anticipated in Johor in the near future, particularly in the data centre sector. Digital Minister Gobind Singh Dio said Johor has become a global focal point, especially with the new Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone.
We currently have more than 50 data centres in Johor, and there are more to come as we go ahead. I was there over the weekend with the Menteri Besar, and of course we were at a launch by GDS that wants to build an ecosystem that will support data centres as well. So I believe moving ahead there will be definitely more investments that will come into Malaysia.
He said this after delivering his keynote speech at the Amazon Web Services AWS Cloud Day, Malaysia. Gobind said there is also the challenge of retaining local talent. He said incentives must also be given to them to build careers in Malaysia. Such efforts will ensure that as investments flow into Malaysia, they contribute to building a skilled workforce with long-term opportunities. Coming up on a foreign front, Israel approves bill banning UN agency in Gaza Strip. Stay tuned. Israel faced a mounting international backlash Tuesday after approving a bill banning the main UN aid agency for the devastated Gaza Strip. Despite objections from the United States and warnings from the UN Security Council, Israeli lawmakers overwhelmingly passed the bill banning the UNRWA from working in the occupied territory and East Jerusalem. UN Chief Antonio Guterres said the Israeli law could have devastating consequences if implemented and would likely prevent UNRWA from continuing its essential work. Israel strictly controls all humanitarian aid shipments to Gaza, and lawmakers also passed a measure prohibiting Israeli officials from working with UNRWA and its employees. The agency has provided essential aid, schooling and healthcare across the Palestinian territories and to Palestinian refugees elsewhere for more than 7 decades. Hamas called the bill an act of Zionist aggression, while its ally described the ban as an escalation in the genocide. Even several of Israel's Western allies voiced disquiet at the ban, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying Britain was gravely concerned. Germany, which has been a staunch defender of Israel, warned it would effectively make UNRWA's work in Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem impossible, jeopardizing vital humanitarian aid for millions of people. The ban comes as fighting rages in Gaza and Lebanon, where a second full-scale front opened last month. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's ruling party was reportedly locked in talks to form new alliances on Tuesday after losing its parliamentary majority in an election debacle. The Liberal Democratic Party LDP, which has governed Japan almost non-stop since 1955, and coalition partner Komeito fell short of a majority in Sunday's election. Ishiba said Monday he would not quit despite his party's worst election result in 15 years, indicating he would head a minority government as he was not considering a broader coalition at this point. But media reports on Tuesday said the LDP was talking to opposition parties about arrangements to ensure Ishiba can get legislation through and also remain Prime Minister. Together with the Komeito Party, the LDP won 215 of Parliament's 465 lower house seats. One potential kingmaker is the Democratic Party for the People DPP, whose 28 seats would push the LDP-Komeito coalition over the 233 mark for a majority. And according to local media, Ishiba has decided to seek a partial coalition with the centrist DPP, whose manifesto included subsidies for reducing energy bills. Ishiba is also considering asking the DPP for support when Parliament votes on whether he will continue as Prime Minister. Parliament has to convene by 26 November, 30 days after the election, and the vote could take place on 11th November. China's only woman space flight engineer will be among a crew of 3 astronauts blasting off on a dream mission to Tiangong Space Station this week. The new Tiangong team will carry out experiments with an eye to the space program's ambitious goal of placing astronauts on the moon by 2030 and eventually constructing a lunar base. The Shenzhou 19 mission is scheduled to take off with its trio of space explorers at 4:27 a.m. tomorrow morning. Among the crew is Wang Haozhe, 34, who is China's only female space flight engineer and the 3rd Chinese woman to take part in a crewed mission. Headed by Tai Xuzhe, the team will return on Earth in late April or early May next year. Chai, a 48-year-old former Air Force pilot, brings experience from a previous stint aboard Tiangong as part of the Shenzhou 14 mission in 2022. The aerospace veteran added that the crew was now fully prepared mentally, technically, physically, and psychologically for the mission ahead. Completing the astronaut lineup is 34-year-old man Song Ling Dong. The crew currently aboard the Tiangong Space Station is scheduled to return on Earth on 4th November after completing handover procedures with the incoming astronauts. In sports, struggling Genoa signs 34-year-old Balotelli. Stay with us. Manchester City and Spain midfielder Rodri was awarded the men's Ballon d'Or on Monday after winning a 4th consecutive Premier League title in Euro 2024. The decision to award the prize for the world's best player to the midfielder came as a surprise, with Real Madrid's Liga and Champions League double winner Vinicius Jr. widely seen as the favourite. Hours before the ceremony in Paris, the Spanish club announced its delegation would not attend the ceremony at the Châtelet Theatre because of what it perceived as a snub of Vinicius. Rodri, 28, played a key role as City held off Arsenal to win the Premier League title last season and was named player of the tournament at Euro 2024 as unfancied Spain emerged triumphant in Germany. Injury-hit Italian Serie A side Genoa announced the signing of former Italy striker Mario Balotelli on Monday. And Genoa have 7 players out injured, including forwards Junior Messias, Vitina and Caleb Ekuban, and have decided to take a gamble on free agent Balotelli, who last played in Serie A for Brescia 4 years ago and last season was at Adana Demirspor in Turkey. The news was confirmed by the club down in 18th after Sunday's 3-0 loss to Lazio. Italian media reported that Balotelli's contract will run until the end of the season. Born in Palermo to Ghanaian parents, he was once one of the young stars of Italian football and considered a world-class striker, playing for Inter Milan, Manchester City, AC Milan and Liverpool. But a succession of smaller clubs followed, and at the age of 34, this move to Genoa represents a last chance on the big stage for a Balotelli after a rocky career. And that's it from us this evening. In our top story today, government to continue to protect the interests of 85% Malaysians amid the implementation of RON95 targeted subsidy. Do join us again tomorrow afternoon on TV2 and saluran Berita RTM for your daily world updates. Until then, I'm Renee Fong. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Goodbye and have a wonderful evening.